In one afternoon, a mountain released more thermal energy than 100,000 Hiroshima bombs. A column of ash and rock shot 21 miles into the sky, collapsing roofs under its weight. By morning, 2 Roman cities and thousands of people were gone. This is the eruption of Mount Vesuvius, 79 AD, born from tremors nobody took seriously. Vesuvius sits above the Bay of Naples in what is now Campania, Italy. Nobody saw it as a real danger until the eruption buried Pompeii and Herculaneum under ashfalls and scorching pyroclastic surges, wiping both towns off the map. Together, the 2 cities held more than 20,000 people. Only around 1,500 bodies have ever been found. Warning signs had already arrived. On February the 5th, 62 AD, a major earthquake tore through the region, badly damaging Pompeii, and repairs were still unfinished. A smaller quake struck 2 years before the eruption, shaking Naples so hard a theater collapsed shortly after evacuation. Nero, performing on stage nearby, kept singing until he finished. In the 4 days before the eruption, the ground trembled again and again. Nobody sounded an alarm. People living around Vesuvius were used to small earthquakes. Pliny the Younger later wrote that they weren't especially alarming because they happened all the time in Campania. That familiarity would prove to be a fatal miscalculation. In the early afternoon, Vesuvius exploded. A column of superheated gas and rock roared skyward, and Pliny the Younger, watching from across the bay, compared its shape to an enormous pine tree, a tall trunk spreading into branches at the top. Ash and pumice began raining down, and roofs started giving way under the weight. As the sky darkened, the ground shook violently again, toppling walls and crushing people trying to flee. Out on the bay, the sea rolled back on itself, a small tsunami pulling the shoreline away. For a few hours, rescues and escapes were still possible. Then, as night fell, the situation turned far worse. Under cover of darkness, the volcano began sending pyroclastic flows, scorching avalanches of gas and rock, racing down its slopes. Witnesses miles away in Misenum saw glowing lights on the mountain and mistook them for burning villages. People who had stayed behind now ran for their lives, but for many it was already too late. Just before dawn, a second surge tore through, denser and hotter than the first. Studies later measured its temperature near 300 degrees Celsius, hot enough to kill in a fraction of a second. Bodies were frozen in contorted postures, not from a slow death, but from muscles seizing instantly under the heat. Ash sealed everything in place. Across the bay in Misenum, Pliny the Younger and his mother fled their home as tremors struck again. A black cloud rolled in, lit by lightning-like flashes, swallowing the coastline from view. His mother begged him to leave her, too tired to run further. He refused, took her hand, and pulled her along as ash rained down like snow. Across the water, Pliny's uncle commanded the Roman fleet. When a friend's wife begged for rescue by sea, he launched his ships toward the volcano. Told to turn back, he answered that fortune favors the brave, and pushed on to Stabiae. There, the wind trapped his party overnight. By morning, exhausted, he collapsed on the beach and never got up. By 2003, archaeologists had recovered casts of more than 1,000 bodies at Pompeii, plus scattered bones from 100 more. At Herculaneum, over 300 skeletons were packed into seafront boathouses, waiting for boats that never came. Most Pompeii victims died in the surges, not the ashfall, the opposite of most eruptions studied since. The heat was so extreme it vaporized blood and organs inside the victims' bodies. Researchers have even suggested one victim's brain turned to glass, vitrified by the surge's temperature, though other scientists dispute that claim. What is certain is that death, for most, came far faster than anyone could process. For over 500 years, textbooks gave the eruption's date as August the 24th, based on a medieval copy of a letter. But excavators found autumn fruits, warm clothing, and jars of fresh wine among the ruins. Coins minted just after Emperor Titus's coronation turned up at Pompeii too. The evidence points to October, not August. Vesuvius stopped its assault after 2 long days, leaving 2 buried cities and a death toll nobody has finished counting. Today, Pompeii and Herculaneum form a UNESCO World Heritage Site. still being excavated after nearly 2,000 years. That mountain, once releasing 100,000 Hiroshima's worth of energy, is still there, still active, overlooking 3 million people today.